Well, good afternoon or evening, everybody. This is Tim Terranova, the proud superintendent of the Victor Central School District. Glad to join you on a Monday night. That's a bit of a different evening than we typically do our town halls, but it fits in this busy schedule. And I have a great group of kids on, young adults on with me tonight. The first half of the town hall will be spent talking to them. And then roughly 6:55, 7 o'clock, we're going to bring on Mr. Valise, our Assistant Superintendent for Business. And Mr. Valise and I will give you an overview of next year's budget that was approved by the Board of Education in April and is up for vote on May 16th. So first half with all these great young people, and then the second half of the hour will be spent talking about budget. So what's great about tonight is we have two groups of great students on with us. One group is involved in marching band, and that could be marching band or marching band / VIPE, which is the indoor percussion ensemble who won the states this year, or Winter Guard, or a combination of those. So we have young people involved in those activities. And then we also have some members of our outstanding robotics team, which needs to be recognized as well. So we're just going to go through. Eliza, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Eliza Augustine. I'm in 10th grade and I'm in marching band.
Now you do all three, right? You're doing all three? So Eliza's in marching band, Winter Guard, and VIPE.
No, just VIPE and marching band.
VIPE and marching band. Okay, sorry. Nate, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Nate Bages. I'm a freshman and I'm a part of VIPE and marching band.
Great to see you, Nate. Izzy.
Hi, I'm Izzy Yauman and I'm part of marching band and VIPE, and I'm a junior.
Yeah. And we have, I think, well, maybe not. I think our only senior on, Katie.
Hi, I'm Katie. I'm a senior and I do marching band and Winter Guard.
Jillian, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So go
Do you
ahead.
want me to introduce myself?
Yeah,
Okay.
just tell me your grade and what you do.
I'm Jillian Smith. I'm in 9th grade and I am in marching band and VIPE.
And then Alex, how are you? Junior, correct?
Correct. I'm Alex Song. I'm a junior and I'm a captain of the robotics team.
And then Cody, who happens
Yeah.
to be next to Alex.
I'm Cody Perez. I'm a junior and I'm also on the robotics team.
Cody, you're the driver, right?
I am, yes.
Amazing. All right. Wait a minute. I'm getting lost here. Where are we? Reese. Is Reese here? Reese is not here. Liv, sorry.
Hi, I'm Olivia Pioni and I'm a sophomore and I'm in marching band and Winter Guard.
Wait a minute. You're a marching band in what? Winter Guard?
Winter Guard, yeah.
Do you want to be Liv or
Liv.
is Liv
Liv is
okay?
good. Yeah.
Okay,
Liv is
just
good.
making sure. 10th grade, right, my friend?
Yep.
All right, wait a minute. Did I miss anybody? Okay. So first question for the group, and you can, I don't know, we could just, somebody could jump in or I could just call on you. What made you interested in either the marching band experience or the robotics experience? Because those are both incredible programs. So just tell us a little bit of what made you interested in it. Who wants to go first?
I can start if no one else wants to. So I first started Winter Guard in 5th grade. My sister was a part of the marching band. She's older than me. And I mostly just thought it was really cool and they were promoting it. So I gave it a try and I just kind of fell in love with it. And then when I got to 7th grade and I was able to, I joined marching band, which I also ended up loving and sticking with throughout high school.
That's great.
That's great.
Who's
that?
I can talk. When I first saw VIPE perform, I got to see VIPE perform before I saw marching band. I thought it was kind of one of the coolest things ever that I saw. And ever since then, I had wanted to be part of the program. And as soon as I got into 7th grade, despite it being the season of COVID, we still were able to have modified the season for both marching band and Vipe. And even though it was not the normal setting, it was still amazing for me. And just as Katie said, I fell in love with the activity and plan on sticking with it through the rest of high school.
Great. Thanks, Nate. Nate, you got the Vipe jacket on?
This is just a marching band jacket, but I do have my Vipe jacket as well.
The most sought after jacket in the entire district. Did you know that? All right. Sorry. Keep going. Who's next?
I can go next. So I started in middle school in Lego League and then continuously went up, moved up into the first tech challenge. And then one day at Hang Around Victor Day, the robotics team was set up and experimenting with the robot. And that's how I got recruited. I came into their interest meeting and I just kind of fell in love with the team and just continued to show up and participate. And it was great.
What grade were you in, Cody, when you started in robotics?
For the FRC, I was a sophomore.
Okay, great. Thanks, Cody.
I can
Alex,
go
go
next.
ahead.
I'm right here. Like Cody, I also started with Lego League in middle school, probably around fourth grade-ish. I did not do FTC, but I joined FRC when I was a freshman. I'd always had a really big interest in engineering, STEAM, technology, and all that sort of stuff. And I've always enjoyed being in kind of a team environment. And it just kind of really clicked and fell into place for me.
And then how'd you get elected? Did you get elected captain or did you just decide you were going to be the captain of the team?
It's an interesting process. It comes down to mostly the mentors. So it's not necessarily democracy, but I suppose they probably held a vote, and I guess I
Well, Cody must have voted for you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sitting next to you during this.
yeah, well, I hope so.
All right, thank you. Who's next?
I can go.
I can go next.
Does Eliza? Do you, Eliza? Do you want to go?
No, Liv, you can go.
Okay. I first joined Guard when I was in 5th grade because I saw a poster down by the cafeteria because that's where they start promoting the program. And then when I was old enough in 7th grade, I joined marching band and just kept trying to like better my skills that way because I was really something I like really love and love to do, and I just wanted to get better, and that's why I joined.
Since 5th grade then, huh, Liv?
Mhm.
Excellent. Thank you. Go ahead, Eliza.
I started in Vipe my first season, and then I went to marching band for percussion, and then I joined Guard for marching band, and ever since I've just loved both.
Great. Thank you.
I can go next. When I was in school band in 5th and 6th grade, they would offer tickets to the marching band home show, and I knew I wanted to go because I knew I was interested in it. And I never got to go, but when I was in 7th grade, I did join marching band and I loved it. It was great.
It's great. Thanks, Jillian. And Izzy, I don't know, did you have much of a choice to be in the marching band with your family background, or how'd that work?
So yeah, it's interesting for me. When my dad became director, I was in third or fourth grade, and I was going to rehearsals. I was hearing him doing lessons at home, and I was hearing all of these people who at that time were like these super big scary high schoolers, and they were talking all about these competitions, and I just knew right when I saw marching band and Vipe that like that was the activity for me. I wasn't like forced into it or anything. It was just, it's really amazing when you see other people who are really talented and successful and you get to see that, and it's really inspiring.
Yeah, and what you're 11th grader now. Wow. It's gonna be a senior next year, Izzy. That's pretty cool. Thank you. All right, so everybody went, right? So the next the next couple questions, it's kind if you want to answer, you can, you don't have to answer, but I know people are interested in what are some of the things you've learned, and you kind of mentioned this already for some of you, but what are some things you've learned either through marching band or robotics that you probably wouldn't have learned if you just so to speak did school?
Me and Cody are happy to go first this time. So me personally, I've certainly learned a ton of skills relating to leadership, how to manage a team and be organized, communicate, as well as provide examples of being a good leader to some of the sub team leads. Alongside that, of course, there's the technical side, computer aided design, computer aided manufacturing, at high levels of coding, welding, CNCing, woodworking, stuff like that. And then maybe most importantly is team skills, how to work with a team, how to be cooperative and move towards a common goal, working with others that is not just making it to the end finish line, but getting there quickly and proficiently.
Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, we have a great team of mentors that have personally taught me how to work mechanically, technically, with metal and working with machines that will help us build a robot. And as driver, I've worked a lot with other teams and collaborating to ultimately win a match and win a competition to try to go for a similar goal.
Thanks, Cody.
I would like to build on that. The aspects of teamwork and leadership can all fall under really any team setting, but in marching band especially, where we have I know some of our other friends on the meeting here have been in leadership positions, myself included. It's really taught great relational skills to be part of such a big group, and then within that we have our sections that tend to be a little more tightly knit than within the rest of the band. But just being able to be exposed to so many different people and so many different experiences has just taught some great things about how to be a friend, how to be a leader, and yeah.
Thanks, Nate.
And kind of building on what Nate said, kind of us just being like a family together. I've got to know so many good people during my time in marching band, and it's just become a really good family, basically.
That's kind of important too, isn't it? You got to really, because families don't always agree on everything. So you got to figure out a way to respect each other. Obviously you like each other, respect each other, but then you got to have to problem solve too. And
Lots
both.
of teamwork.
Yeah, what I think is fascinating is you got marching band, Vipe, Winter Guard, which is, significantly different than robotics. But at the same time, both of those major areas require so many different skills that are involved with communication, collaboration, and working together in leadership. So I think it's just different ways to get there. Anybody else want to share?
I have another thing to add. So also going on with social skills and all that, you learn how to deal with like nerves and stress and all that, like that comes with before a performance. So me personally, I know I've learned like how to deal with that and how to like do your best and overcome it, even though it is something really hard to do. And like you can use that in your life, like just past marching band. Like I can like apply it to homework or anything else stressful.
Do you see, Liv, do you see it impacting your ability, like when you take tests in school and stuff like that, to stay calm and not get too over focused on one test or one assignment?
Yeah, I think so. Because like the same skills that you would take before a competition to like calm yourself down and like get done what you need to get done is the same thing you do before approaching like a test or a lot of homework or something.
Now, you're the only one on tonight's group who's in Winter Guard, correct?
I know Katie is also, yeah.
Katie, you're in Winter Guard too? All right, so you throw
Yeah.
the
The
flag
flag
and
and the guns hub,
Hmm.
the wooden
the
gun,
wooden gun,
just so
just
people
so
are clear.
people are clear.
Yeah.
How hard is that?
I mean, I feel like once you get into it, you get used to it, but definitely at first it takes a lot of effort. I mean, I've been in the program for 8 years, and a lot of the skills I have today have taken me years to develop. So it definitely takes a little bit, but it's a lot of fun once you get it, and like the work ends up paying off every time, which is really nice.
I just think when I've watched you numerous times, obviously, when that whatever object you're throwing up in the air is twisting up in the air and flipping around and you're looking up at it. I mean, that takes so much skill, and you have to stay calm or else, and you have to be prepared that every once in a while somebody drops it and you can't let that affect you the next time. So I just think that's incredibly difficult. So
Mhm.
awesome. Anybody else want to share out things you learned? All right, then actually, let's go to the next question. Give us something that's, I don't know, it's probably your biggest success story, either in robotics or marching band.
Well, I feel like in general for Winter Guard, I think we have a pretty successful group. In my time, we've won first place 3 times in our circuit and second place also 3 times in the time I've been here, which I mean is really cool to experience. And also there's like these regional competitions where you go against farther schools from farther away, like different states and things. And last year we actually won first at one of those too, which I think some people don't realize, but it's a huge accomplishment because those can be hard, and it just feels really good to have, and it's a lot of fun.
Definitely.
We can go next. We did have actually a really good season this year. Unfortunately, COVID made recruitment a little bit more difficult than we would have liked a couple years ago, but we had a fairly large team this year of about 30 students and 15 mentors, which is a great ratio. It certainly paid off at our Finger Lakes Regional. We won the Industrial Design Award. It's a fairly prestigious award. And at the Greater Pittsburgh Regional, we won the Safety Award, also fairly prestigious. At both of our regionals, we were in the top 12 of about 60 teams at both regionals. And we made it to semifinals at both of them.
It's amazing. Yep. Talk for a second, real quick, but Alex or Cody or anybody in there, what exactly is a mentor?
Yeah, sure. So at least for robotics, the mentors are basically adults that decide that they want to help with the team. So most of our mentors help with the mechanical side of things. And actually, we now have a fair amount of mentors on the operations side, but basically they're there to teach us and help us if we need it. So what I think is cool is it truly is the student's robot. The students have the final say. It's 100% the student's design, and it's the students making all the parts. The mentors are there if we say, hey, how do I make this cut faster? Or how do I use this machine?
They also bring in a lot of real world experience with how the work environment is usually organized and having like a set schedule so we can get things done on time and really efficiently.
That's great. Thank you for that information. Anybody else want to talk about some successes? Who wants to mention VIPE?
I can go.
Jillian, you go.
Okay. Winning states this year was an amazing experience because when we got called for first, we all got to walk up there and we received our medals. But my favorite part was celebrating after. We were all super excited. We got the drum, and eventually it's going to have our school's name on it. And it's a really great experience to have fun celebrating with your friends about a great victory.
You're coming to the board meeting on, or some of you anyway, if you can, in May, I believe, to be honored by the Board of Education as well. Did you want to add something to that, Izzy?
Yeah, I was just gonna say along with that, when we went to our regional competition this year, it was really amazing when we found out that we had made finals for that. We were able to go and perform a second time. And along with those like medals and competition successes, there's also the smaller things during rehearsal of like getting those notes that you were hitting wrong and like really persevering and performing and getting something right that you had been struggling with, and like seeing your staff being proud of you is just like a really amazing feeling.
Yeah, well, it's a huge sense of accomplishment. Eliza, anything you want to add around, because you were in VIPE as well and the marching band.
Yeah, so I was in both, and just adding on to both of them, that like the experience that we had when we won first place, it just felt amazing to win first, and being there with all my friends, it just made it even better.
Great. All right, last question. Actually, I'll combine two questions. And maybe each of you could answer. Maybe one is, what are your plans for next year? Anything, again, many of you, I think almost all of you, except for Katie, are staying here, thankfully. But maybe one thing that you're looking forward to next year, and then a shout out to a staff member from Victor that really made an impact on your life, right? So plans for next year and somebody who made an impact on your life. Who'd like to go first?
I can start. So next year I'm going to college, and I will be studying forensic chemistry, but I also do want to continue some sort of winter guard or outdoor season. I know I'm going to Ohio, so there's a lot of groups there. So I'll definitely want to continue that because it's been such a big part of my life and I enjoy it so much. And I'd like to give a shout out to Michelle Bills because she's taught me ever since 5th grade. And I mean, she taught me a lot in winter guard, like spinning wise, but also how to be a good person and like leadership skills and all that. So she's really helped me grow a lot through the years.
And which school in Ohio are you going to, Katie?
Ohio University.
Okay. Congratulations. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Want to go to Alex and Cody.
Yeah, we can go. So in terms of plans for the robotics team next year, I guess to put it simply, we plan to win. We had a major increase in our success from last year, and we plan to continue that trend. We did have success with awards this year, but we're gonna go for more next year. We also want to increase recruitment to just get more students involved with the first program, because it really is just, at the end of the day, a great learning experience. And we also want to do more community outreach. We do have a recycle drive coming up for metals, stuff that isn't usually easy to recycle. So more events like that, as well as more community service.
Do you know when the recycle drive is?
I really should, but I'm blanking on the date. Cody,
Okay.
yeah,
Right, we'll
bad.
publicize it. And then Alex, a shout out to somebody.
Yeah, for me, Pete Fleckenstein, he was a teacher at Victor for sure many years, and he founded Victor's robotics team. So, couldn't have happened without him. So forever indebted to him.
Thanks, Alex. Cody.
For me, it's Brian Selinsky. He was a mentor there for many years. He helped me learn mechanical and technical things throughout the year. He also taught me how to work well with a team, work well with other mentors, and communication.
Is that Jordan's father?
Yes.
Yeah.
Does Jordan know that you gave a shout out to him?
I don't believe he did.
I'll know soon.
Now you guys are going to be seniors next year, which is really phenomenal. And
Right.
listen, just so you know the importance of robotics, when we are hiring technology teachers in our district, because we have at least one opening for next year. One of the questions that the interview committee is putting up to the candidates for the technology position is, are they interested in advising and supporting the advisement of robotics? So that's
Yeah.
how important your group is, because we want to find teachers that come into the technology world who have either a background in robotics or are interested in advising you guys. So it's something that we're definitely focused on.
That's fantastic. We will always happily take more mentors, more help, more
Yep.
people to teach us. The only other thing I can think of, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention, is we're currently looking for a permanent practice space. Is
Yes, we know that. We're trying. So we
Thank
got to keep focus on that. All right, thank you, Alex and Cody. Who's next?
I can go next. So plans for the next year, just to stick with the program, keep building up. A lot of what we see throughout the years is just development of, we keep a lot of the same people. So just developing those people and those skills, and we can get better and better. And the closer we get, the better we get. A lot of the times we'll hear our staff say, you know, the groups that, you know, play the best are usually the groups that know each other the best, are like bestest of friends. And, you know, I have one of our staff members explains to me how some of his best friends still today were the friends he made in Vipe when he went to our high school. And that's who I'll shout out as well. Nick Mazzola has been our battery tech. We call them techs. That's our staff members. Nick Mazzola has been with us for a whole year now, and it is a little bit of a short period, but in just the time he's been here, he's made some really amazing changes. He he graduated from Victor as well, went through Vipe and marching band programs, and it was really special to have him be able to come back and share some of the old culture with what the program is today. So he deserves a lot of appreciation. And yeah, we're very thankful for him.
It's great, Nate. Thank you. Jillian, you want to go? We'll take our two freshmen.
Sure, yeah. My goal for this marching band season is to just work on being a role model to our younger students and our younger members, because when I was a 7th grade member, I remember looking up to the upperclassmen and the sophomores and just the high schoolers in general, and thinking that they were really cool, and I want to be a role model for the younger marching band members. And my shout out is to one of our past battery techs, Melissa Mezek. She helped me build the confidence to try out a new instrument this past marching band season, and she helped me build the confidence to make more friends in the marching band and Vibe group, and I'm just really thankful for that.
How do you say Melissa's last name?
Mezek.
Okay. Thanks, Jillian. And Jillian and Nate, you are everybody's well spoken on here, but for I would never guess you two. I love freshmen, but you are so well spoken. And don't forget, I don't know if the rest of the group would agree with you, but typically, you have even a better time in high school in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade than you did your freshman year. So you've had a great time in your freshman year. The sky's the limit for you too, in terms of enjoying high school. So keep up the
Thank you.
great work. Who's next?
I can go.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Sorry, Izzy.
Liv, do you want to go? Liv, you can go.
Okay. So next year, I think I'm going to be I'm continuing this program and then stepping up to be more of a role model and help my section just improve by being more of a leader and just improving upon things I've seen other people improve upon, and just continuing other people's journey with the group, because I know once people are a senior, they want to come back and they want to keep trying to help the group, and I'll just continue that for people. And then I want to give a shout out to Rachel Brown, who has been my coach for about 2 years, I think. She is a member of Blue Stars and Mayflower Winter Guard. She has just always been the best coach and just understands me, and like whenever I'm getting stressed, she's always the first one to know. And she's just, I don't know, the best person. Has
That's-
really helped me like love this program even more than I already do.
It's awesome, Liv. Thank you.
Thank you.
Izzy, go ahead.
So next year is gonna be my senior year, so it's a little bit bittersweet, but I'm hoping for like a really successful season and continuing to just push forward and be the best team that we can be. And my shout out is to Dennis Slater. Dennis is my sections instructor. He is just like the most incredible person I've ever met. He's so positive. All of his feedback that he gives is always positive. I don't know how to sum up how amazing he is, but he's really just an incredible person.
I know you probably put your dad second, I would assume, right?
He's up there too.
Okay, that's good. All right, big shout out to Dennis Slater. And then last but certainly not least, Eliza. 10th grade Eliza, you're gonna be a junior next year. Do you realize that?
Yeah. Mhm.
Wow. You
So,
excited?
Yes.
Okay,
So this upcoming season, just focusing on positive energy and hopefully getting better at all the stuff that my coaches tell me to improve on, and hopefully winning a lot more and just being a great season. And then my shout out goes to another past drumline person, Joe Palamaki. He was one of the most welcoming instructors ever. He was so full of energy. He always, if like any of us were having a bad day, he would always like cheer us up, and I just really miss him.
he's not there this year.
No, he's been gone for I think 1 year.
Okay, well, I know he'd appreciate that shout out, Eliza, so thank you. Did we miss anybody? Okay, listen, some of the things, I mean, just the one question I asked about things that you've learned. I mean, to hear you talk about leadership and technical skills and relational skills, dealing with stress, being a friend, a family, and a leader. You know, some of the combination of what I call social emotional, really important social emotional skills, along with technical skills. And the combination of that with trying to be a great person and a collaborator and working well with others, even when you have differences. And then dealing just with, I think one of the things you've had to deal with sometimes too is you know, not being as successful as you wanted to be, and dealing with just resiliency, getting back up when you make a mistake, and keep trying and keep pushing, which is what you have to do in life. So I think you're great role models for everybody. It's another example on why we want our kids involved in different activities and experiences beyond just school as they get older. Also, a big shout out to, especially with the robotics group, with all the elementary and younger stuff going on with Legos and the things the PTSA helps with. So I think that's a huge piece to it. We get hundreds and hundreds of kids involved in that. And of course, our music program that feeds the marching band. So I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to be on tonight. You're very busy people. And just thanks for being great role models, and have a great end of the year. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a great
Thank
night. Mr. Isaacs is going to bring Mr. Valise on, who's our, I would say, the brains behind the operation. Where is he? There he comes. Derek, you just have to turn your computer on. Whoa, look at that. Hi, Derek.
How are you?
I'm good. I don't know if did you get a chance to hear any of those kids or not?
Yes, I was watching on my phone.
Are they amazing or what?
Yeah, thanks for putting me after them, though.
Well, it's tough.
Right.
I know. So Mr. Valise, Derek Felice is our Assistant Superintendent for Business, and I mean it sincerely when I say he's the brains behind the operation. He's the architect of our financial plan moving from the last few years and moving forward. So we're just going to take a few minutes, and you want to share the screen, Derek, and then we'll put up the PowerPoint. And we're going to give all of you an opportunity just to hear a little bit about the budget. We've been doing multiple presentations since December at our board meetings, and now we're going to start to do more public presentations beyond board meetings, for example, tonight. So we want to just educate the public on what we're trying to do with this budget, what we're focused on, what it's going to cost, and how we're going to get there. And then if anybody watching live tonight has any questions, just put them in the Facebook Live chat box, the comments or questions, and we'll try to answer them. If I don't get to questions tonight, or if you have questions after you watch it later on, and put them in there and I'll answer them throughout the week with Derek's help. So Derek, I think I might turn it over to you first.
You start.
All right. There we go. So I'm going to talk about actually, Derek's going to talk about the budget development. He and I are both going to talk about what is in the budget. Derek's going to go over more what is on the ballot in relation to what's in the budget, and then we'll finish up with next steps. Again, it's kind of a quick summary, but this will also go on our website, this presentation, so you can look it over more carefully at another time if you'd like.
So thank you, Dr. Terranova. So we're going to start talk about how we developed what got added to the budget this budget cycle. So myself met with building and department leadership to develop non-personnel budgetary goals. That is because we have a human resources department that works on the personnel end. So in addition to each and every building and departments, which includes food service, people services, transportation, I met with the library, media, E&L, music, art, athletics, and buildings and grounds. So if that wasn't a specific category, the budget for that individual department most likely came from the building level. Some of the goals that the buildings and departments wanted to see was adding field trips at the kindergarten through 6th grade level, addressing furniture needs of the senior high large group instruction room, assisting students with co-curricular activities such as DECA and robotics, adjusting supplies and materials to try to keep pace with inflation, and then beautification of the buildings. And what we mean by that is additional hallway and classroom painting, more water bottle filling stations across campus, and $100,000 in small capital projects, which in the state's terminology is referred to as a capital outlay project, and furniture needs.
If you just go back for real quick, I'm sorry. So a couple new things this year, right? Adding field trips back at the K-6 level. Who's been supporting that in the recent years?
So in the last couple of years, it was PTSA, PI, and the Education Foundation. So this is not to replace the efforts of those groups. This can supplement what they're doing, or if depending on what those groups want to do, they could use those money for other needs. But we've been fortunate to benefit from such supportive groups.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. And like, I think they're happy with this so that they could free up some of their work with other areas that need it. And then the $100,000 small capital projects, I believe that's new as well. And that is better than just taking general money out of our general fund account, correct?
Absolutely. So capital projects come every 5 to 7 years. And sometimes in between, there's small little projects that the district needs to get accomplished. We've been doing them, but now that we specifically call it out in the budget, we can now start receiving building aid up to 70%, most likely, depending on the aidability of the project. So this add to the budget is positive because it's work we've already been doing, but now that it's done in a formal process, it'll help build future revenues and be able to maintain itself.
Thanks.
So in addition to the non-personnel items, Mrs. Dorothy D'Angelo, our Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, met with building and department leaders about what type of personnel requests they may have to be considered in the budget development process. We compiled both the non-personnel and the personnel items and prioritized them while we were waiting for preliminary state aid numbers. as of today, we still do not have the final state aid numbers. It got a fifth extension today to this Friday, but based on February and March's state aid numbers, we believe that that's not what's holding up the budget. There's other items. So we moved forward with the preliminary February and March state aid numbers, which was fortunate enough that we nearly filled all the requests that were submitted to both myself and Mrs. D'Angelo. So that was very positive news for this budget cycle. So what's in the budget, Dr. Terranova?
So let's talk a little history on personnel, if you want to go to the next page. So this slide shows the needs of our district in terms of staffing for the 2021 school year. And if many of you remember, in 2019, 2020, the Board of Education made a decision to exceed the tax cap for the 2021 school budget. And that was a pretty significant decision. And the reason was what you see in front of you. Victor was significantly understaffed in a large number of areas where ultimately they were the lowest staff per pupil in so many different ways in so many different places that it was significantly impacting our ability to educate kids. In addition, because of the lack of funds, especially from the state, the district was not able to put money in their reserves for future capital projects and other initiatives. And they were actually draining the reserves to try to support the year-to-year budget, which was our reserves were running out. And even with that number of staff, even though we were understaffed, the district was in a position where we were approximately $3 million in the red as opposed in terms of being able to pay for the next year's budget, the 2021 budget. So basically, we didn't have enough staff. We had very little reserves and we couldn't afford the staff that we had. So the board made a courageous decision to exceed the tax cap. It required a supermajority vote of 60%, which it passed, thanks to the unbelievable support of the community. But even with that, we weren't really able to add staff for 2021. It was to really shift the tax base in the school district and then have a portion of the budget for contingency reasons, whether that's emergencies or putting money in reserve. So it kind of reframed the way we budgeted, which led to the next slide, where we then were able to start adding staff at a higher level. So 21, 22, we added 18.35 full-time equivalents. I think the largest group in that was cleaners, because at one point we had one cleaner per building for the entire day. But as you can see through this slide, there was a variety of other reasons. So we added 18.35 for 21, 22. For 22, 23, we added a significant greater amount. I think there we go. 22, 23, we had 32.9 FTEs. This is where we really started to rectify some of our staffing needs around special education, social emotional learning, academic support. And then we had the ability to add security staff for the first time since the district really was in existence. So this was a huge chunk of new staff that we needed to really support the understaffed areas. And as Mr. Valise goes to the next slide, you'll see this is one of the most interesting things about Victor Central School District and what makes it such a great, unique place. So at this time, we started to get significantly more state aid. We had been getting somewhere around a little over 50% of what we were supposed to get in terms of state aid based upon our student population. 22, 23, which is this year, we started to get a chunk more, close to 75 to 80%, which enabled us to add the staff, add to our reserves, which is the red line, right? That's the reserves as percent of the budget. But you'll see the blue line, which is our tax rate, actually went down since 1920 before we exceeded the tax cap. So that's what makes Victor. Most districts don't have this ability to add staff like this, add to the reserves, and actually have the tax rate decrease, which is what happened in Victor between 1920 and 22, 23. which then led to next year's projected budget. And the difference here is we now have a 5-year strategic plan that we're operating under the first year of. And that strategic plan is really targeting the areas of additional staffing that we need to support the strategic plan. It's the first time in a long time that we've had a real strong focus around main objectives. That strategic plan is really broken up into 3 main areas: culture and climate, learning and instruction, and then student supports and opportunities for kids. So you'll see, in addition to the three pillars, we also have 2.4 FTE increase just on enrollment because our intermediate building is increasing in enrollment. But we also have culture, which has a significant amount of staffing additions, learning and instruction, as you can see at the bottom of the slide. And then in the next slide, the greatest amount of staffing increase would be in student supports and opportunities, again, which is focused on special education and pupil services, as well as the social, emotional, and mental health support of kids. So another way to look at this last slide and this slide is we really have 6 main areas that we're focused on increasing staffing. The first is special education and pupil services. We're going to bring more kids back from out of district. We're going to support an adjustment in our programming. One of the big things that we've had to focus on in special education is adding continuum of services to support our kids at a higher level. So we're going to add the integrated co-taught model next year in special ed, which also means we're going to have to add some staffing to support it, but should give an even more targeted approach to supporting our kids and much more opportunity for especially our secondary students in junior and high school to take challenging courses as they move through high school. We're also adding social, emotional, and mental health support across the district, including staffing the new 200 South High Street building, which we purchased in the fall. We're going to start a tutoring center there next fall, so that's going to be really important. That's one of the main areas. The other 6 include mitigating class sizes at the elementary level. That's why we had the enrollment change in staffing. Really supporting what you heard the first half of this town hall around opportunities for our kids to participate in a variety of experiences. That's a comprehensive program. So we're adding staff in music, world languages, and extracurricular opportunities. We're adding substitute staffing, which is critical to the maintaining of a solid program throughout a year. We're also adding additional security at the elementary level. So we'll be almost fully staffed in terms of a security team in a district that has really over 5,000 people on campus every day. And then 2 major focus areas. One, going back to pupil services, is the addition of a drug and alcohol counselor full-time. That person will support kids who are struggling with substance issues and abuse, as well as being proactive and working with some of our younger students on the dangers of alcohol and other drugs and just ways to deal with that and really get to know our kids at a higher level so that if they do have challenges as they get older, we can address them right away, as well as connect to community resources. And then the other position we're really excited about is a full-time career coordinator for our career center at the high school. And that's going to greatly expand the opportunities, especially for our juniors and seniors, to take part in work-based experiences, internships, real world experiences tied to potential jobs and opportunities that they're interested in after high school. That then gives them a better idea if that's something they want to continue to focus on. So we have some really exciting ideas around increasing our career center with a full-time career coordinator, which is going to be extremely helpful. The total addition of FTEs for next year is projected at 24.9. So that's, as you look at the next slide, Derek, you'll see a similar graph to the one that I showed you a few minutes ago. This one now adds the projected staff percent of total budget that's in reserves, as well as the tax rate for next year, 23-24. It really doesn't look different than the one I showed you before. Again, we have the ability to add a significant amount of staff. add money to our reserves, which is going to have a huge positive dividends for the taxpayer in our next capital project that hopefully will occur either this summer or this fall. And then as you see, the projected tax rate is slightly greater than the tax rate was in 1920. However, we anticipate that tax rate to drop. Typically that does decrease when we get the final rates in the summer. So we're hopeful that that will actually be under $16 per 1,000, which will put us right where we were, if not a little bit below, again, where we were in 1920. So again, a really, I think, positive ability to add staff where needed, but keep our tax rate at a low amount. And last point I want to mention is that graph that's going up in terms of the additional personnel since 1819, that's going to flatten out over the next couple of years because we're so close right now to the appropriate level of staffing that we need.
Thank you, Dr. Terranova. So for the rest of the budget, which makes up roughly 24% of the budget is the non-personnel items. In total, there's a little over $23 million out of the $98.9 million budget that's being presented tonight. That is for non-personnel. That includes things such as equipment, supplies, materials, software, textbooks, tuition, BOCES, debt, and interfund. The biggest increase from a percentage is our equipment. One of the things that we have struggled with for the last couple of years is equipment. So due to the increase in state aid, we've been able to properly fund equipment to make sure those needs are addressed. As Dr. Terranova mentioned, the BOCES line is decreasing by a little over $500,000, and that is because of the shift of sending students away to BOCES for special education programs and then them coming back into district. And then debt, you see an $829,000 increase. That is largely due to the 2019 capital project that was approved by the voters. We're just wrapping up that project and the debt is coming due. So if we look at expenses by building, they're pretty consistent across the board. The district office is the department that holds where all the fringe benefits, health insurance, pension payments, payroll tax, along with the debt is. So it looks like a big increase, but a lot of that is actually attributable right to the buildings and the staff in those buildings. That's where their fringe benefit is. Overall, we see a big increase in senior high at $1 million due to those positions that Dr. Terranova mentioned. And then buildings and grounds, we're right-sizing that capital project that's in there, the beautification of our buildings, creating warm, welcoming atmosphere for our students that is housed in the buildings and grounds department. Overall, our budget is going up $9.7 million or 10.9%. Fortunately, most of that is going to be paid for with the additional state aid. If we look at our objects of our budget for 22-23, you can see about 75% of our budget goes directly to our second most important resource right behind our students, and that is our staff, with just over 48% going to salaries and 27% going to fringe benefit, followed by our debt. And then that stays pretty consistent in 23-24. It's actually closer to 76-77% now. Because of we firmly believe that putting money directly into supports and salaries to help our students is the most effective use of money and provides the outcome that we're looking for. So year-to-year comparison, overall, we have a $9.7 million increase. That's at 10.9%. But as you can see, the tax levy is only going up 1.2 million, 2.81%. Again, that's because we're seeing a large $7 million increase in state aid. There are some other factors that go into that, such as payment in lieu of taxes. There are many pilot programs that the county, which follow within our district boundaries. A lot of them are starting to get they go into a lower tax rate and then they phase in. So we're starting to see that pick up, which is going to offset the biggest part of the increase. based off of the June 30th, 2022 assessments, we rerun the calculation based off of the new levy, and we get a rate of 16.03 per thousand. As Dr. Terranova has said, and everybody driving around the community, you see those new houses being built. Those will be added to the tax rolls on June 30th, 2023. And then at the August Board of Education meeting, we'll set the rate, and hopefully with those increased properties on the tax rolls, that tax assessment may, or tax rate per thousand may dip below the $16. I believe last year we were looking at $17 per thousand, and we actually ended up going below 16 because of the additional assessed values of properties within our district boundaries, which is great news. So,
And just to remind everybody, Derek, that 2.81% tax levy, that is at the tax cap. We are not exceeding the tax cap next year, nor do we plan on exceeding the tax cap in any future, near future years. We are very, positive and feel strongly that our budgetary practices right now, our strategy moving forward allows us to stay within the tax cap and still make progress in terms of the needs of the district.
yep, absolutely. And as you mentioned in the personnel slide, one of the reasons why we're seeing this big increase is because of the personnel needs, and we've addressed almost all of those needs. So we're going to see that plateau. So absolutely, we don't project any breaking of the levy. So it just requires 50% plus one vote. So if we look at our cost per pupil compared to our neighboring school districts, we always look at obviously Ontario County, but Monroe and Wayne. If we're looking at their 22-23, which is the current cost per pupil, we are falling behind them. We're at 21,603 per pupil, and that's literally just taking the total proposed budget divided by the total number of students. When we look at the after vote, because we still don't have all of their budgetary information and their enrollment data, we're looking at Monroe, Wayne County, Ontario counties, 22-23 cost per pupil. So we do project that those numbers in the blue columns after vote does increase. But even after this vote increase, we're still going to be falling behind what other schools are. And again, most of that difference is being made up by the state of New York, not the local taxpayer. Our tax rate comparison, as you can see, Monroe County, they pay quite a bit of school taxes at 22.98% in comparison to Victor at 15.84%. And similar to the last slide, the after vote is showing the county school tax bills that they just paid this past September and October. So we would expect that the Ontario, Wayne, and Monroe County after vote will also increase. As you see, we are increasing. But we don't know our final tax rate until June 30th, 2023. So we're showing you the 16.03 as the projected rate, and we're still falling behind in our tax rate, but fortunately the big state aid increase is getting us really caught up. Anything to add there, Dr. Terranova?
I know that in our budget, we'll talk about in a second, in our budget newsletter that'll be coming out in a few days, we're going to talk just about the impact and the potential, and I'll say that potential tax rate increase, because we anticipate in the summer there's potential that it will not be 1603, it'll be less than that. But if it was 16.03, it would have a specific impact on your house, depending on the cost of your house. We're going to have that in the actual budget newsletter that gets mailed to every home in the school district. Do you have, Derek, any do you know what the potential impact would be on, say, a $300,000 house, or do you want to just save that for the budget newsletter?
Just in fear of giving the wrong number, I'll wait. I don't have that on me.
Yeah, and that's fine. We're going to have that information in our newsletter, and you know, it's a very palatable number, especially as you look at it, and we'll have it looked up. I think we're looking at everywhere from $100,000 house to a $500,000 house, correct?
Yes, we broke it down per 100,000. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
So what is on the ballot? So the first proposition is obviously the budget. So we are asking the community to support the school district to spend $98,924,377 during the 23-24 tax year. In addition, the district is looking to do 2 bus and vehicle purchases. So the first bus purchase isn't for this upcoming school year. Last May, the community approved for next school year. So we're always a year out on purchasing school buses. So we're purchasing 6 small school buses for the price of $1,185,000. We do not have the infrastructure in place to facilitate electric buses. So these will be diesel buses. If they were electric, it'd probably be over $2 million for those purchases. In addition, the district is looking to purchase 4 other yellow bus vehicles. One of them will be a service truck, which the mechanics use to service buses as they break down when they're on route or in the bus circle. And then 3 other vehicles to transport small groups of students to various arrangements such as out-of-district placement, athletic events. These are typically known as like the vans and the Tahoes. Those are we're hoping to purchase them in 23-20 or right in July. So the 23-24 school year. So that supports 4 vehicles in total.
So Derek, can you go back real quick? Is the 210,000 and the 1,185,000, is that part of the 98 million general fund, or is that separate?
Not completely. So in the $98 million is essentially 1/5 of this. So we purchase and we borrow for 5 years, and then we always pay off 1/5 every year. So this is a proposition to borrow money to renew our band. So every year a band comes due, that's a bond anticipation note, and we renew it every year. We pay 1/5 of it, and then we carry 4, and then next year we'll pick up 5 and we'll pay 1/5 of all of it. So it slightly goes up every year. But this is only about 1/5 is included in the budget.
And then we also authorized the community approved a bus purchase reserve, correct, last year?
Correct. We have a little bit funded in it, but right now the district short-term plan is to, as you mentioned earlier, try to do a capital project with minimal tax impact. So we haven't yet funded that too significantly. I believe there's 10,000 in there right now, just because of the timing of our operations.
But the goal would be to start to be able to put some money in that bus purchase reserve, which then could eliminate or at least significantly decrease future bus purchases in terms of having to pay interest on them, correct?
Yeah, so in the perfect world, the district would be able to pay for 30% of the buses up front. And the reason is because we get aid for the other 70%. Of course, the state doesn't pay that 70% in year 1. They spread it out over 5 years. So if we get to the right position, we'll be paying what's referred to as our local share, which is the total cost minus what the state will aid. We would ideally pay the 30%, borrow the difference, and let New York State give us transportation aid that would pay this going forward. So it would have no impact on the local community. So that would be the plan.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So Board of Education candidates, there's 3 vacancies. There's 2 full-term vacancies opened up. That's Christopher Parks's position is up this year, as well as Trisha Turner's position. Trisha's chosen not to run for next year. I've worked with Trisha now for 3 years. She's been fantastic. So really appreciate her service to the board. Christopher Parks is running as an incumbent. And then the third position was Karen Ballard's position, who was elected, a couple years ago. She decided to leave the board at the end of last year. The board selected Debbie Palumbo Sanders to take over her board seat for this year, the 22-23 school year. And now she is running for an open position, which is why she is also a candidate. So what happens is the top 2 vote getters will get the 2 full terms that are available, that are currently Christopher Parks's and Trisha Turner's, and then the third place person and the ballot will get the 1-year term, which is finishing out Karen Ballard's term. So we have Brian Adams, and this is the right after the deadline to apply to be a board candidate. They determine ballots positions through a lottery. And so these are the ballot positions on May 16th. Brian Adams will be in the first ballot, Debbie Palumbo Sanders the second, Adam Snyder is the third ballot, Holly Boisvert is the fourth on the ballot, and then Christopher Parks, Dr. Christopher Parks is fifth on the ballot. So those are our 5 board members running for 3 spots. And then just some dates and communication that's really important for people to know. This Thursday, which is a week from this Thursday, will be our budget hearing. That starts at 7 p.m. and it's in the junior high, senior high auditorium. It'll also be live streamed. That'll take about a half an hour. We'll also take questions from the live audience during that budget hearing. And then at 7:30, thanks to the sponsorship of our outstanding PTSA, we will have candidates night where the PTSA will ask the Board of Ed candidates a variety of questions about why they're running and their philosophy in education, which will also be live streamed. And then people in the audience, they'll have questions that people in the audience can ask. So that's a big night, Thursday, May 4th. It'll also be taped for everybody to watch. Then right after that, the week after that, you should be receiving the budget newsletter, which is packed full of information on the 23-24 proposed budget. That will be delivered to your homes somewhere early the week of May 7th. Tuesday, May 9th, if you are not a registered voter at this time, if you want to be a new voter, then that is the time you would register from 3 to 7 p.m. right at district office. That's Tuesday, May 9th. And then Tuesday, May 16th is the budget vote in the ECS boardroom. It'll go from 6 a.m. till 9 p.m. And then in terms of next steps, there we go. Our website is going to also be packed full of information. When the budget newsletter is sent out, it will include on our website the newsletter, plus some quick facts for the budget that are easy to kind of review in terms of the big general facts of next year's budget, as well as a variety of question and answers. And all of the presentations, including this one, will be on our website. So for more information, go to that website, go to the Victor website, or you can click on the icon that's on there and go right to the budget portion of the website. Again, we want to be as transparent as possible. I don't see any questions right now in the Facebook Live account, but we'll monitor it over the next couple of days. And certainly if you have any questions after watching this, please email me at terranovat@victorschools.org. And we'll answer your questions as quickly as possible. So Derek, I think we can unshare the screen if you like.
Can I add something else too for the
Yeah,
ballot as well?
Yeah, go. I was going to actually ask you if you want to add anything.
Yeah, so the community may be familiar with the Victor Farmington Library proposition being on our ballot this year. They follow different rules than we do. So when they're not looking to increase the levy, they don't show up on the ballot. So it's not something that we will be voting on, but it will still be on your school tax bills in September because they're just going to be re-levying the same amount. So there's no ballot to vote on, but there will still be a line item on your school tax bills for the library.
So there's no, and just again, a reminder, there's no relationship between the town library and the school district other than by law. The school district typically would have the library vote on the ballot, but this year there won't be a library vote on our ballot.
Correct. That's under real property tax law.
Yep. Okay. Anything else you want to add?
That's all.
All right, Derek, thanks so much for your expertise. Appreciate it. Again, please reach out at everybody to myself or Mr. Valise if you have any questions. And we look, oh, I will add this real quick. Mr. Valise, guess what's going on here? You got a second?
Absolutely.
All right, coming attraction. So this Wednesday, I know Derek is all over this one. We have Administrative Professionals Day. Did you know that?
I did get that from your superintendent update this morning.
Yeah. So Administrative Professional Days, which includes their secretaries, administrative assistants, all sorts of the most incredible people that without their leadership and support, we would be absolutely non-functioning. So we're looking forward to Administrative Professional Days this Wednesday. We have the Senior High Talent Show this Friday night, April 28th at 7 p.m. That's always an amazing event. We have lots of concerts that are going to start happening, especially the second half of May, but we do have a couple coming up soon. The 3rd grade spring concerts are next Wednesday, May 3rd. And then we have the Select Ensembles Junior High, Senior High concert on May 9th. And then we'll have a variety of other concerts coming up the second half of May. As you know, we are one of the top 100 music schools in the United States. And this is why we have so many different opportunities for our kids. May 16th, which is the budget vote, we'll also have the legendary Victor Cares Carnival outside, which is a fantastic event run by our student leadership. And then random acts of art will also be on display on May 16th. And for you elementary parents out there, the last day of school for elementary students will be Wednesday, June 21st. We just made that final. We didn't use all of our snow days, so we don't have to go to school an extra day for our kids in elementary school. So the last day will be June 21st, Wednesday, and we'll make sure that goes in the community message on Friday. Thanks, Derek.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Mr. Isaacs, for your work behind the scenes. Have a great night and take care.
Thank you.